Hi there, this is Dennis and welcome to my home once again. I'd like to just talk to you about the things that have happened to me where I've been embraced by the light. Amazing situations, amazing. And the reason why I say this, and the reason why I want to bring this forward actually, is to show people that you don't have to be a Buddha, you don't have to be a Christ or a Muhammad or a Confucius to allow this Christ consciousness, the logo consciousness, to enter you and to be part of your life. Because we are our own masters now, all of us. And I didn't realise this many years ago when I got tapped on the shoulder. It was 34 years of age when my heart got broken. Yeah, would you believe that? Some cheeky person broke my heart. It's okay, I've recovered. Anyway, I was a mess actually. I was a real mess, and some of my friends in the village I lived over in Yorkshire decided to take me to see a medium. Well, I had no idea at that time what a medium was. My soul did, but me, the ego, Dennis, didn't. So off we went to see this medium, and this medium just knocked me sideways because she knew all about me. She knew all about my parents who've passed, everything. Even knew the car that I was driving that I just bought that nobody knew in the village. And I thought, wow, this lady, whatever she does is good. So she asked me to go to the spiritual church. So I did. I went to the spiritual church and I received a message off a little old lady about standing on a spiritual ladder. Yeah. An invisible ladder coming from my grandfather called Sam. So I thought, okay, I'll do this, being a bit of a Jack the Lad then. So I stood on the spiritual ladder and she said, I can see that you've accepted it in your mind. However, now your life will change. And I went, yeah, okay. Anyway, the day after it changed. Wow, things started to happen really quickly. Anyway, they happened that quickly that I actually got hold of this medium again, the first medium, and asked her about these funny feelings that I was receiving. She said, you need to now go and see this other medium in a development group and start to develop. I said, what? Develop to be what? She said, a medium. I went, okay, I'm game for that. Somehow I knew that this was my destiny, which was quite good actually. Even though I say it now, 30 odd years on, that's giving my age away, but I don't care. I'm looking good for this. Anyway, so we started a spiritual development group at my house. And that night, my guide appeared to me. Wow. And this was the first time that I ever had seen spirit. He stood to the right-hand side of my bed and he was telling me things, and he was magnificent. That's the first time that I saw spirit in all its gloriousness. He was beautiful. He was absolutely beautiful guide. And he spoke to me about things, and I thought, yeah, okay, well, we'll see, won't we? Anyway, these things that we spoke about happened. And he said, do you trust me? So I said, yeah, I do actually. And then he said some tests to see if I did trust him, which I did. Anyway, I started to develop quite quick at an alarming rate actually. And this is where it gets interesting, and I want to share this with you because I know there's other people out there who are starting to develop, and I wish you well. And if I can be of any service to you all, then please let me know. I'm only here to share, to exchange, and to love my fellow human beings. So I digress. So I started to develop, and the first message I got that I said in public, and I will put on the screen, on this screen, the church that I went to develop this message giving, was Quarmby Spiritual Church over in Huddersfield, Yorkshire. And I received this message, and it took me only about 3 minutes to say the message in my head, but to say it out loud in front of 50 people, it took me about 10 minutes because I had a speech impediment. However, I wouldn't give up. I stood there and stuttered my way through a first message, and that was the start of it all. Then I was going off to spiritual churches and developing in the open circle, bringing messages through. And people always saying to me, why are your message different? Why do you include the soul in the message? Not just your basic materialistic psychic message. I said, I don't know. I'm happy to report now that I'm glad I didn't go down that way. It wasn't my destiny. Anyway, what happened then? I used to go up and down the country developing my gift of mediumship and clairvoyance. And at one stage, I had the ability to see the physical body as an X-ray form and see the illnesses in the body and tell people, until it was taken off me because upstairs said, you shouldn't tell people, it scared them. So I realised that. First lesson, understood. So basically what happened then, I went to a spiritual church over in Lancashire, and I was a little bit concerned about what was happening. And somebody said, they're after your power because you're a newbie, a new beginner, you don't know how to harness it, so they're after your psychic power. And I went, what? So I was a little bit concerned about this. So driving home one night, driving home to my house over in Yorkshire from Lancashire, Cheshire area, basically, I was going up this road, which was I call it my own racetrack, because it was late at night, it was about 10:30 in the evening, and I was giving the car some stick. And I'm driving down this road, and you can see the road on the video here now, and as I'm driving down the road, I'm approaching a lamppost on the right-hand side, and as I was looking at this lamppost, it changed shape. Well, yeah, I bet that's got you now, hasn't it? This lamppost changed shape. It grew 5 times higher than it was in height. The width went wider, and then it started to shimmer white light. It shimmered white light. It turned out into a body of an angelic being which was white. It was unbelievable, and it was shimmering white light. And I was well and truly shocked by this. And then all of a sudden, the car that I'm driving filled up with white light. Think about this for a minute. The car that I'm driving, about 60 miles an hour down this country lane, filled up with white light. And I couldn't see anything. No, couldn't see a thing. But all of a sudden, this voice just spoke to me. It was inside my head, it was outside my head, it was outside the car, it was everywhere. It was a universal voice. And this voice was so warm and calm and loving. And it said, Dennis. It said, Dennis, don't be scared. We will never ever leave you. We will always be with you. Ignore what these people have said. We will always be with you. We will never leave you. Do you understand? I nodded and said yes. I must have fallen asleep, because when I woke up, or when I resumed the ability to see out of the windscreen, I had arrived home at my house. The car had parked itself up the drive next door to the garage doors, and I was kind of awake, or regaining, what you say consciousness, but regaining my faculties from being in that white light. And I just couldn't believe that this car had driven itself home, and it took me 2 or 3 days to understand what had happened. That, and I felt on top of the world, that the universe could look after me, could comfort me in love and light. And the reason why I'm telling you this, everybody, is that because it can happen to you. If you totally believe in yourself and totally believe in spirit and where you've come from and our ancestor and our lineage, you will know that you are undeniable, indestructible. You are energy. You are all energy, all of you, all of me, all of you are just energy. So that was one incident that really kept me awake. And I was thankful for that. And then as I went on, basically going through my mediumship and developing my philosophy and stuff like this, it was small things were happening to me. And when I look back, I've always been supported. Even when I went to the Arthur Findlay College, which is known as Stansted Hall, and they tried to kick me out because I knew what was going to happen, because Arthur Findlay came to me the night before and said, you will be picked on by the tutors because of what you know and how you bring it across. They won't like it. I will discuss this in another time with another video, because it's not fair to highlight on that. This is what and why the light, embraced by the light. If it happens to me, everybody, it can happen to you as well. Bear that in mind. This is just the messenger saying, we are all light, we are all energy. And our mother and father, or whatever you call it out there, can help us if we allow it to help us. That's all. If we allow it to help us, and we allow it into our life, which is love, understanding and courage, to stand up and follow our own dream, the light, you will be embraced by. Trust me, because I have been. So on numerous occasions, when I've been thinking really, that the world was against me, or I wasn't on the right spiritual path, incidents would happen, the light would come again. And I went to live in Spain. I decided that my path would take me over to Spain. So I went to live on a boat in Estepona on a 100-foot ocean-going boat for 5 years. But I moved to an apartment as well on the beach. I also bought some land as well, but I also was around spiritual people that saw things differently. So I had different lots of beliefs coming at me and different lots of faiths coming at me, but I always stood my own ground, thinking, no, I've been in the light, I know what the light's all about. And I was on the phone, in a phone box, talking to my friend over in Yorkshire, who was a mother in a past life, actually. And I was talking about something that I wasn't very happy with. And once again, the phone box filled up with this white light. And I actually said to the person I was speaking to, the phone box is filled up with white light. And she says, yes, I know. Because she could see it in her eye, in her spiritual eye. So the light had come again. It come to look after me. It come to engulf me in that love. And once again, it happened to me, ladies and gentlemen, can happen to you. All you have to do is believe, totally believe in this world is temporary. But what is out there is so powerful and prominent. If we let it in, if we give it half a chance, it will guide, it will sustain us. It will work miracles for us on our behalf as long as we let it. So that was 2 occasions the light came in. So on the 3rd occasion, which is very powerful, and I share this with you again only to tell you that you are worthy of what I have had, you are worthy of it as well. Trust me. I came back to England and I was going through a bad time financially because the business I was involved in Spain didn't work. It took all my money, the bank collapsed, and I come back penniless actually. So I was like a spiritual vagabond going around and round and trying to earn a living and stuff, and trying to go back to my old craft of buying and selling cars, which wasn't working. By that time I knew that my whole life had changed and it wasn't going to go back to that way of working. It had to be now a truly spiritual path. So basically what had happened, I was living with somebody, I was lodging at their home, their house, a friend of mine actually, and I was working for them, doing some other stuff. Anyway, so one night I was driving home and I had a few to drink actually, and I shouldn't have had. I was a bit naffed off with life and the police stopped me. The police breathalyzed me, but luckily it turned out to be negative, And there's a lot more about that, but I won't go into it now. So I drove home, and the next day I was driving to see a friend over in Yorkshire, and the car in front of me stopped, and I stopped behind this car. But the car behind me didn't stop, and it hit me that hard, it sent me over the back of the boot of this car. My car flipped on its upside down, landed on a fence, and it pinned me. It came through the sunroof, which was open, and it pinned me to the floor, which was upside down in my car, and petrol dripping out. Anyway, this hand came in, and it started to feel if I had a pulse. I had a pulse, and this hand turned out to be a nurse who was walking down the parallel street, and the voice said to her, "You'll be needed in the next street, run quickly." So this nurse told me after that she ran through the ginnel, and all she saw was my car somersaulting through the air and landed on its roof with me pinned. This was given to me when I was in the hospital after recovering. Anyway, my friends from Yorkshire came, picked me up, and they took me home to their house. So I was recovering. This was the Saturday afternoon. By Sunday, late afternoon, I was feeling really good, and I knew I had to go to what was the first church I ever went to, Slathwaite Spiritual Church over in Yorkshire. So I went downstairs and speaking to my friends, I said, "We're going to church." And they knew if I was saying that, we'd have to go. So they took me to church, and I gave a few messages after. And as I'd give the messages after, I went all weak because really weak and no energy. Bearing in mind, I'd just been in a car crash and I shouldn't be out of bed. But the Spirit had moved me to go to church to give the messages, and the messages were unbelievable, received gratefully. So my energy had gone, so my friends picked me up, frog marched me into the back of the car, took me home. As I'm walking up the stairs to what was my bedroom at that time, I thought, whoa, something's going to happen here. I felt really weird. So I'm sat on the bed and I'm thinking about, once again, helping those other people who've lost loved ones and now they can rest in peace because they know they will see them again. And all of a sudden, the room filled up with this white light again. I kid you not. But this time it was different. This time it left me in pins and needles. I call it my spiritual orgasm. That's a great name, that. A spiritual orgasm was happening to me. My whole body was being flooded by pins and needles. It was wonderful. It was like cotton wool. This white light was so wonderful and warm and caring, and I really can't give it enough words to explain. It was wonderful. And the voice came again. This wonderful, calm, loving, sincere, all-knowing voice came again and said, "Dennis," which it got my attention then. Had my attention as soon as it happened, actually. He said, "Dennis, we've shown you now on a few occasions we can assist in your life. We assisted you when you got stopped by the police for drinking. We interfered with you and the breathalyzer because you were over the limit. You would have lost your license." Get that? And nodding and feeling all this love within me. Couldn't talk because I was so choked up with the love in this white light. I couldn't say a thing again. It was just this white light and this voice. And secondly, in the car crash that you've had yesterday, you could have gone to a new spiritual vibration. In other words, you could have died. You could have gone on to another existence as energy, but you didn't. Wow. I sat back. I knew what they were talking about. And they said very clearly, or it said very clearly, "Dennis, we would like you now to prepare for things that you've never done before. Prepare to live a better life, a more in tune life. Remember, we are here. We've always been here. And now we know you will not cut us off. So prepare to do things that you've not done before." Wow. I couldn't think, I couldn't talk. It took a long period of time for the light to disappear, to unmaterialise, because it did materialise. And then I shouted downstairs to my friends, and they rushed upstairs fighting with themselves to who would come into the room first. Of course, the female friend won, but the husband come in close second. And she opened the door and said, "What's happened in here?" Because she knew something. So I told her what had gone on. And she said, "Well, what do you expect?" Walked downstairs, and I could hear her laughing and smiling. Wow. So that's the third time the light, embraced by the light. So what I'm saying is, if it can happen to me, ladies and gentlemen, it can happen to you. Yes. It's amazing, isn't it? That a lot of people live a 3D life. They go to work, they come home. They go to work, they come home, they pay the bills. They pay no thought to changing energy. I'm losing the thread now because I think basically I've told you what I really wanted to tell you. Is I feel the energy now moving away from me. But I'd like to finish off this. People are awakening and people are posting things on different social media platforms about their spiritual awakening. My Kundalini awakening happened before I moved to Spain. It happened when I was 35 years of age. I didn't tell anybody till 10 years or maybe 20 years after, because I was worried that they might think I was, Dada. And what happened? I was at another spiritual church over in Brighouse. It was Brighouse Spiritual Church. And I had a bad knee. And this healer came up to me and said, "Dennis, I've been told you've got a bad knee, is that right?" I went, "Yep, I have. Would you like some healing?" So I said, "Yes, please." So they took me into a small room and they gave me some healing, and they just rested their hands on my legs, on my knee actually. And basically they left the room after 10 minutes and I felt really good, but I knew I had to stay there. I knew I had to stay in that position and just feel the love. And then all of a sudden, I saw this situation happening in my third eye, in my spiritual eye. And I saw my spine. I went into the body and I saw my spine. And at the bottom of my spine, there were two snakes. They were wrapped around the spine. And they started to come up the spine by wrapping around the spine and going around the spine, each one differently, going up the spine. And the snakes are the Kundalini snakes. And they call it Idler and Pingala. That's what they're called, Idler and Pingala. And these Kundalini snakes were rising through my spine and rising through the chakras all the way up, through the throat, through the third eye, into the crown chakra. I felt wonderful. And I was putting it down to the healing. But I kept this to myself because I didn't want to scare anybody. I didn't want to be locked up in the bottom block of the hospital. Now I know it wouldn't have happened. And the reason I'm saying this again is if this happens to you, say thank you, appreciate it, go for more, because it's your awakening. It's your Kundalini coming up the spine. Because once it comes up the spine, it can't go down. Because you have rose up the spine. You've ascended. And we all ascend through the spine. But not many people understand it. And it's all about the work you do on yourself, how you believe in yourself, when you meditate, how you meditate, the people you don't allow into your life. Don't do drama. It's what you eat. It's what you drink. My whole life changed when this happened. And this has kept me on my spiritual path. When people who come into my life, I tell them this, and they don't stay in my life much because they must think I'm some kind of, born again Christian. I'm not. As you know, who are watching this, that's a different situation. But the reason I'm saying this to you, I am repeating because I really want you to get the message, and I'm sure you are, is please think good of yourself. Have the opportunity to love yourself deeply and dearly. Don't let crap or drama come into your life. Stand up for yourself. Love yourself dearly, I'm repeating, and deeply. And realise that you are on the way to Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, all the great saints. You don't have, to let people talk you down because you are God yourself. So the Christ consciousness was not just for the ascended masters or any masters. You are the Christ consciousness once you get there. So please keep trying. Remember, you are what you think, you are what you feel. So this is just a short situation that I've been through. I wanted to share with you. I was going to say a lot more, I was thinking a lot more, but what has come forward is right. And I will post different things. Oh yeah, before I go, one last thing that really shaped my way of thinking was I was at a spiritual church years ago, and the medium was talking about the Christ consciousness and in his philosophy. And at the bottom of the stage, this figure materialized, and it was a Native American Indian with one feather. He was beautiful, about 6 foot, chiseled face, great body, wooden breastplate, chiseled chest, and he looked at me, and his eyes were so kind but strong. And he sent a thought out to me. He said, "Only you can see me." And I went, "What?" So I asked the person next to me, I said, "Can you see this person in front of the stage, a spirit?" And this woman said, "You're off your rocker, you." So I asked the next person, same reply. Well, not off your rocker, but no, she couldn't see it. So I looked at this spirit, this entity, and it said to me again, "Only you can see me, Dennis." So I said, "Why?" "Because you're on the right wavelength. These people, their eyes are not open yet. Yours are. Hold this with you all the time. You know you're never alone. And you will get an opportunity to bring this message through to countless people. This is the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. There are spiritual beings out there that walk with you time and time, every single day, talk to you through your intuition. Don't turn them away. Please, sit in meditation, allow them to come, ask them to come in a way that you can understand. So, this is Dennis from my home. I hope this was okay. I hope it was helpful. Please let your comments come. If you need any help, contact me. You know where I am. I'm here. And remember, we are all love, and we're all on the same path together. As brother and sister, walking each other home. So this is Dennis over now, because I'm starting to get emotional now. So I say good night, God bless for now. Bye-bye. Namaste.